My name is Liam, and today I want to share with you my story, a story of love, betrayal, and redemption. It all started 5 years ago when my best friend organized a big wedding. At the wedding, I met Sophia, a beautiful, elegant lady, and when our eyes met on the dance floor, I was immediately attracted to her. We began to dance, our bodies getting closer and closer to each other in time with the rhythm of the music. I could feel her warmth and scent, which made me feel comfortable and happy. We talked a lot and realized that we shared the same interests and values. That night, we exchanged contact information. In the following days, we began to date frequently. Every time we met, we could talk until we lost track of time. We went to the movies, parks, restaurants, and shared our lives together. I found myself falling more and more in love with Sophia. Her intelligence, kindness, and unique charm captivated me. Our relationship heated up quickly, and I knew she was the person I wanted to spend my life with. 3 months later, I proposed to Sophia at a romantic candlelight dinner. The moment she said, "I do," I was overwhelmed with happiness and excitement. We started planning our wedding and our future together. On our wedding day, I stood in front of the wedding stage and watched Sophia walk towards me in her white wedding dress. We made our vows, exchanged rings, and became husband and wife. I believe that this is the best moment of my life and that our love will overcome all difficulties and last forever. We started our sweet married life. We bought a house, decorated it together, and created our own little world. Every morning, we woke up in each other's arms and started a new day. I thought it would last forever. However, I never thought that fate would play such a cruel joke on me. Our marriage, in the third year, ushered in a decisive crack. In the third year of our marriage, I began to notice some changes in Sophia. She began to work overtime more often coming home late at night. Whenever I asked her about it, she always used the excuse that she was busy at work. In addition, Sophia's telephone calls became unusually frequent. Often, she would receive a call and rush to another room, speaking in a lowered voice. Whenever I came into the room, she would hang up quickly, with a hint of panic on her face. At first, I tried to convince myself that it was just a normal workload. As a supportive husband, I didn't want to appear too sensitive or distrustful. But as time went on, the signs became harder and harder to ignore. I began to feel uneasy. Sophia's behavior became more and more secretive, and she no longer shared her work and life with me as she used to. We communicated less and less, and even when we were together, she was often distracted and lost in her own thoughts. My heart was filled with questions and concerns. I began to wonder if Sophia was hiding something from me. Was it stress at work? Or was she no longer happy with our marriage? Or is she seeing someone else? These thoughts were like a dark cloud hanging over my mind, and they wouldn't go away. I tried to communicate with Sophia, hoping to get an explanation, but she always avoided talking about it or used the excuse that she was busy at work. I began to become more and more anxious and uneasy. I found myself waking up in the middle of the night, looking at Sophia sleeping beside me, filled with uncertainty and fear. The sweetness and trust we once had seemed to be disappearing little by little. I don't know how to deal with this change. I loved Sophia, and I didn't want to believe that our marriage was in trouble. But deep down, a voice told me that it wasn't that simple. I began to wonder if something bad was happening. My suspicions were confirmed by a chance encounter. That day, Sophia had gone to another city on business. She hurriedly packed her bags and told me she might be away for a few days. I called her a cab and watched her leave. It was then that I accidentally glanced at a message alert on her cell phone. The sender was Jay, my best friend and Sophia's coworker. I only saw the preview of the message, but those few words made my heart sink. Everything was great last night. My mind is a mess. Jay is my best friend for many years. We grew up together, trust each other. Now, he was on my wife's cell phone, sending me ambiguous messages. I tried to convince myself that it was just a misunderstanding, but the uneasiness had taken root. In the days following Sophia's departure, I couldn't sleep at night. The images of Sophia and Jay together kept flashing in my mind, and it was suffocating. I knew I had to find the truth, even if it might break me. I started going through Sophia's emails and social media accounts. I knew it might be an invasion of her privacy, but I had no choice. I needed to know the truth. After hours of rummaging, I discovered their secret correspondence. In a hidden folder, I found tons of emails and chats between Sophia and Jay. As I read deeper, the truth emerged, shocking and sickening me. It turned out that Sophia and Jay had been secretly having an affair for almost a year. They met frequently at work and even took advantage of business trips. In their emails, they told each other how they felt about each other, and they were very fond of each other's words. Behind these sweet words is the deception and betrayal of me as a husband. I felt the world crumble before my eyes. The woman I loved most, the wife I trusted, had betrayed me with my best friend. All those sweet vows, all those beautiful memories had become illusions and lies at this moment. I couldn't believe it was real. I read the emails over and over again, hoping it was just a nightmare. But every word on the screen stung me, reminding me of the harsh reality. In those emails, I saw their intimate photos and read about their secret plans. Every detail was like a sharp knife that cut into my heart. Sophia complained about my boredom and laughed at my naivety, while Jay expressed his disdain for my friendship and his belief that I was not good enough for Sophia. I felt betrayed and mocked by two of my closest and most trusted people. Their deception was so complete, so cruel, that I was overwhelmed with pain and anger. I asked myself, what did I do wrong? Why did they do this to me? Was our marriage, our friendship, all just a big lie? I sat in front of the computer, my eyes blurred with tears. I felt incredibly lonely and helpless, as if the whole world had abandoned me. I didn't know how to face such a blow, and I didn't know whether our marriage could continue. But one thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't just let it go. I couldn't allow myself to continue to be lied to and betrayed. I had to do something. I had to have an explanation, an end. I couldn't run away from the truth even though it might break me. I wiped away my tears and began to collect evidence of the emails. I knew it would be a tough battle, but I had no choice. I had to fight for my dignity, and I had to let them know that their betrayal and deception had completely destroyed my trust and love for them. At this moment, I felt unprecedented despair and anger, but at the same time, a sense of determination also rose in my heart. I wouldn't give up just like that. I wanted to lift the veil of deception, no matter what the cost. I would let them, especially Sophia, know how much her betrayal had hurt me. I took a deep breath and began to plan my next move. I knew that this would be a difficult journey, full of pain and tears. But I had no choice. I had to fight for myself, for my broken heart. After discovering Sophia and Jay's secret correspondence, I was in great pain and confusion. But I knew that if I wanted to uncover the truth, I had to calm down and formulate a well-thought-out plan. First, I started to adjust my working hours. I asked the company to adjust my working hours so that I could have more time to follow Sophia's movements. Fortunately, my supervisor approved my request. Every morning, I would leave the house before Sophia and drive to her office neighborhood. I would park in the nearby parking lot and walk to the bench across the street from the cafe she frequented. From this position, I could clearly see the entrance to the cafe without being easily spotted. I took a small digital camera with me, the lens of which I carefully hid behind the newspaper. Whenever Sophia and Jay appeared, I snapped a quick picture of them. I captured their hugs when they met, their smiles during intimate conversations, and even the occasional hand-holding. Each photo documented their betrayal and pierced my heart. In addition to taking pictures, I also kept a small notebook to record in detail the time, place, and duration of their meetings. I hoped that through these records, I could find the pattern of their meetings and predict the time and place of their next rendezvous. After work, instead of going home immediately, I followed Sophia in my car, and on several occasions, I saw her go to Jay's apartment instead of going straight home. I parked my car at a distance and used the telephoto lens of my camera to capture them going in and out of the apartment. At home, I started to read Sophia's credit card statements carefully. I realized that she often spent money at high-end restaurants and hotels, which were not the places we usually went. I recorded these suspicious purchases as circumstantial evidence of her infidelity. I also installed a small GPS tracker in Sophia's car. Through an app on my cell phone, I can track her route in real time. On a few occasions, I found her going to Jay's apartment directly after work or going to strange places. I took screenshots of these unusual routes as part of the evidence. The process of gathering evidence was full of pain and suffering. Every time I took a picture or recorded a message, it felt like I was weaving a web of infidelity with my own hands. I often tossed and turned late at night, questioning whether I should continue. But when I thought of Sophia and Jay's deception and of our broken marriage, I gritted my teeth and persevered. After a few weeks of hard work, I've amassed a huge amount of evidence on my hands. Photos, whereabouts records, spinning records, GPS tracking screenshots. This evidence is enough to prove Sophia and Jay's illicit relationship. I organized all the materials into a folder, ready to confront them at the right time. I knew it was going to be an uphill battle. I was about to face my wife's betrayal, my best friend's deception, and our broken marriage. But with this evidence in hand, I at least had a voice, a basis for explanation and resolution. After finishing the last page of evidence, I took a long breath. Outside, the sky is already getting late, the setting sun to the room coated with a layer of golden red. I looked out the window and felt a strange calm. Although the road ahead was full of thorns, I knew that I had already taken a solid step toward exposing the truth and defending my dignity. No matter how it ends, I will face it bravely until I find my own answer. After gathering enough evidence, I began to think about my next move, realizing that Sophia's infidelity would not only hurt me, but also Jay's wife, Ava. I realized that Sophia's infidelity would not only hurt me, but also Jay's wife, Ava. As Jay's best friend for many years, I knew Ava and knew that she was a kind and honest girl. I decided that it was my duty to let her know the truth and not let her continue to be deceived by Jay's lies. I found Ava's phone number, hesitated for a long time, but finally dialed it, and Ava was surprised to hear my voice. Although we are friends, we don't communicate with each other very often. I told her that I had something very important to talk about in person, something about Jay. Ava agreed to meet me. We met at a quiet cafe, and I arrived early, waiting for her to show up. When she walked into the cafe, I saw that she had a puzzled and worried look on her face. I guessed that she might have sensed that something was wrong. We sat down in the corner. I weighed my words and tried to tell her as calmly as possible what I had found out. I told her that Jay and my wife Sophia were having an affair and that they had betrayed our love and trust. At first, Ava couldn't believe it. She shook her head, thinking it was impossible, that Jay would never do such a thing. But as I spread out the photos, records, and other evidence in front of her, her face turned pale. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she looked, with trembling hands, from one sheet to the next, at the material documenting her husband's infidelity. I gave Ava some time to digest the harsh truth. I could understand what she was feeling right now, the pain and despair of being betrayed by the person she trusted the most. After a long time, she spoke. She told me that she had had her doubts, but they had been dispelled by Jay's explanation. She thanked me for telling her the truth, as brutal as it was. We began to discuss our next plan. As victims of betrayal, we decided to join forces to expose Jay and Sophia's infidelity and defend our dignity and rights. First, we had to gather more evidence, and Ava promised to look for more clues, such as suspicious receipts, gifts, or love letters from her and Jay's home and Jay's office. I'll continue to follow Sophia and Jay's movements, recording the time, place, and frequency of their meetings. Secondly, we have to choose the most appropriate time and way to reveal the truth. We consider revealing their infidelity in front of their friends and family on an important date, such as Sophia and I's wedding anniversary or Jay and Ava's wedding anniversary. That way, they can't hide it anymore, and they can't easily avoid responsibility. Again, we need to seek legal help. I have consulted with a divorce attorney about my rights and possible legal consequences, and Ava intends to seek legal advice to ensure that her rights are not jeopardized. We have agreed to take legal action to hold them accountable as soon as the truth comes out. Finally, we discussed how to take care of our emotions. We both realized that revealing the truth was only the beginning of a long healing process. We agreed to support and encourage each other through this difficult time. We also planned to seek counseling to help us get over the betrayal after we revealed the truth. After making these plans, I felt a surge of strength that I had never felt before. Although the road ahead was full of challenges and difficulties, with Ava's support and understanding, I felt that I was no longer fighting alone. We were a community of destiny, bound together by the betrayal of our partners. As we parted, Ava and I hugged each other tightly. It was a hug filled with sadness, anger, but also hope and strength. I knew that our journey had just begun, but with each other's support and understanding, I am confident that we will get through this dark tunnel and see our own dawn. We promise to keep in touch and share the latest developments until the day the truth comes out. After agreeing with Ava, we began to work on a detailed plan to expose Jay and Sophia's betrayal. We all agreed that the plan needed to be thorough and discreet, and that we couldn't give them any chance of getting away with it. First, we decided to pretend it was business as usual while gathering evidence. I continued to play the role of a loving husband, and Ava continued to play the role of a happy wife. We didn't want Jay and Sophia to get suspicious and get defensive. That way, they'd let their guard down, and we'd be able to gather more evidence more easily. Next, we began to discuss the timing and occasion for revealing the truth. We both agreed that the occasion needed to be formal enough and public enough that there would be no escape. After careful consideration, we decided to reveal everything at Sophia and I's anniversary party. We would invite all our friends and family, including Jay and Ava, to the party, and on such a special day, exposing their infidelity in front of everyone would make them feel extremely ashamed and humiliated. To make sure that nothing went wrong at the party, we began a meticulous preparation. While I continued to follow Jay and Sophia, documenting when and where they met and their intimate behavior together, Ava searched for more evidence at her and Jay's homes, as well as in Jay's office. We agreed to meet once a week to exchange the information and materials we had gathered and to discuss and adjust our next steps. As time went on, our evidence became stronger and stronger, making it almost certain that their infidelity had been going on for a long time. We had photos of their rendezvous, sweet emails and messages, and some unusual financial records. We carefully organized and categorized all the evidence into a complete folder. We made a few copies, just in case. To add dramatic effect to the revelation of the truth, we also developed a detailed script. We planned that at the climax of the party, when everyone was present, I would suddenly stand up and demand everyone's attention. Then, I would take out the folder full of evidence and show them, one by one, in front of everyone, the evidence of their infidelity. I would question Sophia and Jay and put them on the spot to explain what they had done, and Ava would come forward at the right time and tell her story to add credibility to the story. We envisioned that Jay and Sophia would have no way out in the face of such overwhelming evidence, with all their friends and family watching. They will either have to admit their mistake on the spot, or they will reveal their true colors. No matter how they react, we are fully prepared. Finally, we discussed our response to the revelation of the truth. We both agreed that no matter how much Jay and Sophia begged or explained, we would not forgive them easily. We planned to cut off all contact with them immediately after the party and initiate legal proceedings to officially end our marriage. We also plan to explain the whole story to our family and friends so that they are not deceived by Jay and Sophia. I feel more determined and empowered than ever before after having formulated this entire plan. Although I know that revealing the truth is only the first step in a long journey, and that there are still many more difficult steps to be taken. But with Ava's support and this well-thought-out plan, I am confident that we will be able to overcome the betrayal and rebuild our lives. Before the anniversary party, Ava and I tried our best to play our roles and disguise ourselves seamlessly. We reminded ourselves that all the pain and suffering had been leading up to that fateful moment. We believed that with proper planning, the truth would come out and justice would be served. As our anniversary party approached, Ava and I were in the final stages of preparing our plan. We scrutinized all the evidence again to make sure that everything was complete and strong. We also rehearsed our script for revealing the truth so that it would be perfect for the party. Finally, the day of the party arrived. Sophia and I hosted the party and invited all our friends and family. Jay and Ava also attended as promised. The whole banquet hall was filled with joy and blessings. Everyone was cheering for Sophia and I's marriage and wishing us happiness. Only Ava and I knew that it was all a big lie, and the truth was about to come out. When the party had reached its climax, and everyone was soaking in the fun, I finally stood up and signaled for silence. I said, "I have something important to announce." Everyone looked at me expectantly, including Sophia and Jay. Everyone looked at me expectantly, including Sophia and Jay, who must have thought I was going to announce something good, like Sophia was pregnant or I was getting a promotion or a raise. But to everyone's surprise, I pulled out the folder full of evidence. In a quiet but powerful voice, I told everyone that I had discovered a heartbreaking truth, that my wife, Sophia, and my best friend, Jay, had been having an affair. The ballroom instantly fell into a deathly silence. Then, whispers and gasps erupted. Everyone looked at me in shock, at Sophia and Jay, and some even wondered what kind of cruel joke I was playing. But I didn't give anyone time to react. I opened the folder and started showing the evidence piece by piece. Photographs of rendezvous, intimate emails, sweet text messages. I passed each piece of evidence around to my guests so they could see the brutal truth for themselves. Halfway through my speech, Ava stepped forward. She was in tears, her voice was shaky, but she was determined. She told everyone that she too had found out about Jay's infidelity and had hard evidence. She brought out the material she had gathered, which, together with my evidence, made up a complete story, a story of deception and betrayal. In the face of such overwhelming evidence, and with all their friends and family watching, Sophia and Jay were speechless, their faces pale and frozen, as if they had been sentenced to death. Their faces were pale and they stood frozen, as if they had been sentenced to death. Sophia tried to say a few words in her defense, but her voice was so pale and feeble amidst all the accusations and questions. Jay did not say a word, but just bowed his head as if he was waiting for the final sentence. I declare that as of this moment, my marriage to Sophia is over. I will immediately begin divorce proceedings and will never forgive her for her betrayal. I will immediately begin divorce proceedings and will never forgive her for her betrayal. And Ava has announced that she will immediately divorce Jay and ask him to move out of their home. The party ends in chaos and anger. The guests had left, leaving the ballroom in shambles, and Sophia and Jay had fled as if from a nightmare. Sophia and Jay fled as if from a nightmare, while Ava and I, though still bleeding inside, knew that we had taken the hardest step of all. In the following days, Ava and I were involved in the legal process of divorce. We contacted lawyers and prepared all kinds of documents and materials. At the same time, we started to readjust to the single life. I moved out of my house with Sophia and found a small apartment, and Ava moved out of her and Jay's house and back to her parents' place. After exposing Sophia and Jay's infidelity, I immediately initiated divorce proceedings. I knew that it would be a long and difficult legal battle, but I had no choice but to defend my rights and to divide our assets fairly and equitably. I hired an experienced divorce attorney who had handled many similar cases. During the initial consultation, I described to him in detail what had happened and showed him all the evidence of infidelity. The attorney carefully reviewed the material and concluded that I had a strong case for divorce and that I had an advantage in the division of property. Over the next few weeks, my attorney and I began to prepare various legal documents. We drafted a divorce agreement that listed all the property to be divided, including our house, vehicles, bank deposits, investments, etc. We also drafted a divorce agreement that listed all the property to be divided, including our house, vehicles, bank deposits, and investments. According to our prenuptial agreement, most of the property was purchased or accumulated together during the marriage, so it needed to be divided equally. Sophia, however, did not agree with the division. She argued that, as the primary caretaker of the family, she deserved more. She also claimed that part of our joint property was actually her personal property and should not be included in the division. I felt very angry and indignant at Sophia's demands. I have been the main breadwinner in our marriage, while Sophia's income is relatively small. Most of our assets have been accumulated through my hard work and investments. Now, Sophia wants to take even more, and that's unreasonable. My lawyer advised me not to compromise so easily and to stick to the principle of a fair and reasonable division. We started to collect all kinds of financial records, including bank statements, income certificates, purchase invoices, etc., in order to prove the source and amount of our property. We also made a detailed list of all the items to be divided, from real estate and vehicles to furniture, electrical appliances, and even tableware and bedding. During the negotiations for the division of property, we encountered a number of obstacles and challenges, and Sophia's attorneys made a number of unreasonable demands in an attempt to get more for her. They challenged the financial records we provided and demanded a reassessment of some of the property. During the course of the negotiations, there were several heated arguments and even a near breakdown. However, my lawyers and I remained calm and rational and stood by our principles. We refuted the other side's arguments on the basis of facts and figures. We also made some appropriate concessions to facilitate the progress of the negotiations. After months of hard fighting, we finally reached a relatively fair property settlement. According to the agreement, I would keep our property, but I would have to pay Sophia a corresponding cash settlement of 45% of the property's value, or about $350,000 US. Our two cars will be owned separately, with me keeping mine, valued at $25,000, and Sophia keeping hers, valued at $20,000, respectively. Our bank deposits and investments will be split 55:45, with me getting 55%, or about $385,000, and Sophia getting 45%, or about $315,000. Other community property, such as furniture and appliances, was divided according to the needs of each individual. Although the result was not satisfactory, it was a relatively fair and reasonable solution, taking into account our marital status. Through this legal battle, I have not only defended my legal rights, but also my dignity and justice. After the divorce papers were signed, I felt both relief and sadness. A marriage that had lasted 10 years was over. The love we had shared, the memories we had made, were all turned into cold words and numbers on a legal document. But I knew that this was the pain I had to go through, the way I had to rebuild my life. After the dust settled from the legal process of divorce, I began to realize that the real challenge had just begun. I needed to deal with my emotional trauma, move past the betrayal, and embrace life again. At first, I was overwhelmed with pain and disorientation. I often tossed and turned in the dead of night, remembering Sophia's betrayal with anger, sadness, and even self-doubt. I questioned myself why I hadn't realized her infidelity earlier and why our marriage had come to this point. My friends and family saw my pain. They gave me endless support and encouragement, listened patiently to my story, and accompanied me through those difficult days. They made me realize that I needed professional help to deal with these emotional issues. With their encouragement, I began to seek counseling. I found a professional psychotherapist who has extensive experience in helping people deal with the trauma of betrayal. During the counseling process, I gradually learned how to express and deal with my emotions. The therapist taught me to use writing as an outlet for my emotions. Whenever I felt pain or anger, I wrote down my feelings without any modification or censorship. Gradually, I realized that this process gave me a sense of relief. The emotions that were bothering me became clear and concrete on paper and no longer hung over me like a fog. I also learned meditation and breathing exercises. Every morning and evening, I spend 15 minutes sitting in meditation, focusing on my breath. When pain and negative emotions arise, I observe them, accept them, and release them with my breath. Slowly, I found myself becoming calmer and more focused. Counseling also helped me rebuild my self-identity and self-esteem. The therapist made me realize that Sophia's betrayal was not my fault, and that it was not because of any shortcomings or defects on my part. She asked me to list my strengths and accomplishments and helped me to recognize and appreciate my own value. In addition to counseling, I've also gotten back into my work and hobbies. I started to focus more on my career and put my energy into meaningful projects. I also picked up some hobbies that I had put aside, such as reading and hiking. These activities gave me a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction and gradually filled the void in my heart. After a long period of emotional healing, I finally felt ready for a new life. The legal process of divorce had been finalized, but the house that Sophia and I shared was the last obstacle I couldn't let go of. Whenever I walk into that home and see the familiar furniture and furnishings, it brings back those painful memories. It used to be the nest of our love, the witness of our life together. But now, it has become the source of my nightmares, reminding me of the betrayal and pain I experienced. I knew that in order to truly start a new life, I had to let go of the past, including this home. Although I was filled with reluctance, I made up my mind to put the house on the market. During the sale of the house, I began to think about my future. I realized that over the past 10 years, I had defined myself too much as Sophia's husband and had invested too much time and energy into the marriage. Now it was time to rediscover myself and redefine my life. I began to re-examine my career. I realized that despite my accomplishments at work, I wasn't really pursuing my passion. I had been working towards a goal that didn't really fulfill me. After much deliberation, I decided to make some changes. I quit my current job and started looking for a career path that better reflected my values and passions. It was not an easy decision, full of unknowns and risks, but I knew that it was a crucial step in rediscovering the meaning of my life. In addition to my work, I redefined my lifestyle. I started to pay more attention to my physical and mental health by exercising regularly and learning to meditate. I have also revitalized my hobbies by picking up the guitar, which I haven't played for years, and learning photography. These activities have not only enriched my life, but also helped me to establish a new social circle and meet many like-minded people. When the house finally sold, I felt a sense of relief. Although it may not have been the best decision in the end, it was a necessary step for me emotionally. I moved into a brand new apartment and started living independently. In my new environment, I feel more free and relaxed than ever before. I am no longer bound by the pain of the past, and I no longer let a failed marriage define my life. I began to truly live for myself and pursue the life I truly wanted. It didn't happen overnight. I still feel confused and uneasy as I adjust to my new life. But every time I do, I remind myself that I have the most valuable thing of all, a chance to start over, a chance to redefine myself. Now, a year later, my life has changed forever. I have found a new job working for a nonprofit organization that helps other people who have experienced marital trauma. I've also found joy and fulfillment in my new relationship and learned how to stay in love. Today, I share my story with you. It is a story filled with betrayal, pain, but ultimately, hope and rebirth. I share this story because I know that there are too many people in this world who are experiencing similar pain. They may have experienced betrayal and felt lost and hopeless. I hope that my story will give them some inspiration and encouragement. I want them to know that no matter how dark the situation is now, one day the dawn will come. No matter how painful the betrayal, we have the ability to emerge from it and find a new life and a new self. This process is not easy, and it requires courage, perseverance, and countless self-reflections. But as long as we do not give up, as long as we continue to move forward, we will be able to find our own road. I also hope that my story will encourage more people to face their emotions bravely and seek help and support. Whether it's from friends, family, or a professional therapist, we shouldn't suffer alone. Only by opening our hearts can we truly begin the journey of healing. In conclusion, I would like to say that everyone who has experienced betrayal and hurt is incredibly strong and brave. Each of you is unique and has your own value and light. Don't let the hurts of the past define your future, and don't let the mistakes of others hold you back. Believe in yourself, love yourself, and move forward with courage. Life has infinite possibilities, waiting for us to discover and create. May my story be a bright light on your path, illuminating your courage and hope. May you get out of the darkness soon and find your own bright future. Remember, you are not alone. I, and millions of others with similar experiences, are walking and growing with you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.